Liquor by the wink, it's been called, and for many years in Oklahoma, it's been the rule rather than the exception. Until now, with the passage last month of liquor by the drink on a county option basis. But that passage is only the first step. Now there are complicated considerations on county elections, enforcement in dry counties, and the list goes on.
It would be something that we should look into.
In a packed committee room this afternoon, legislators began the next part of the procedure, discussing how the county elections will be conducted, enforcement, and taxation.
We ought to figure out a way for the municipalities and for the county governments of wet counties to impose their own tax.
Interested parties present today included liquor store owners and Mothers Against Drunk Drivers. Although their interest is not premature, no solid conclusions were drawn at today's meeting.
A lot of loose ends right now, and I said earlier it's like opening a can of worms. We're going to have to try to put it all together into a complete package. It's not going to be pleasing to everybody, but we're going to try to do the best that we can to have a good law.
A public hearing will be the next step on October 23rd. The legislature begins work on liquor by the drink in January. Dan Slocum, News 4 at the state capitol.
Minds to do that. The undecided is very minimal. I think this only points up the fact that people in Oklahoma are troubled by their state government. They think we do need reform. We do need to change some of the players on the Capitol stage out there.
It's beautiful. We love it. It's beautiful. Well, I have a little problem with a ruffle. One ruffle problem.
For 6 weeks, more than a ton of asbestos has been lying here, inside the shell of the Walls Bargain Center. For almost that long, health officials have wanted it cleaned up, and today work finally began. Officials say there's never been an asbestos cleanup of this size and complexity before. Workers are required to wear special suits and breathing devices to protect them from the deadly material. Today, workers were opening up a section of the store to allow them to carry out all of the rubble. Everything now inside the store, even the merchandise not damaged, will be destroyed to discourage scavengers. And throughout the long cleanup process, machines like this will monitor the air to detect any stray asbestos. Health officials believe they can avoid that and hope the delay hasn't been too long.
We did the sampling, though, and we haven't found any fibers off site yet. So we were certainly concerned about it, but we haven't found any fibers off, so I'm reasonably assured that everyone's safe at this point.
Everything that leaves the site will be covered with plastic to avoid any contamination. Today, the large air conditioning units that had been on the roof were taken off to be weighed. The reason for that is no one knows yet what caused the collapse, and the weighing of materials on the roof may give a clue to why it happened. Jeff Fowler, News 4, Del City.
It was only last week the Oklahoma City UAW local okayed the contract proposal from the company. It looked then like the situation may finally be resolved. But now the strike in Canada has put the 6,000 union members here on alert, and company officials are more than a little frustrated.
It's frustrating because there was some concern initially about the national agreement being ratified, and it did win rather convincingly towards the end, and we kind of felt we had that behind us. We're very close here locally to a settlement. We have overtime schedules planned through the end of the year, and now we're kind of caught in a situation where we don't really have much control.
The Canadian plant is a major supplier of parts to this facility. Company officials here say they have only enough supplies to last a few more days. When those run out, the plant will be shut down completely.
Party will mount a attack and come back, and we've had some indications that they will. Democrats in the state of Oklahoma have not given up. We're not going to give up. We think we can win the presidency. She would come in, it would very much enhance our candidacy. I think majority of the Oklahoma redneck voters, I call, are the people who vote more for the person than they do the party. And I think these people are the ones who want to be represented in Congress, or no matter whether it be in the State House or in the White House. They want to be represented. They don't want to be taken lightly nor be taken easy. And they want their voice heard.
The state question on whether or not our employees will be eligible for state unemployment will have to be addressed when the first claim is filed. They will file an appeals process and we'll see what happens there. The International Union has stated that if all benefits are denied on the state level and we are out over a long period of time, that they will institute some kind of assistance similar to strike assistance.
The voting tables opened at 3 o'clock this afternoon. Turnout is expected to be moderate, nothing like the 80% turnout exhibited 2 weeks ago when workers decided to go with the agreement reached on the national level. Today's vote deals with local issues, how workers will operate for the next 3 years inside the Oklahoma City plant, how transfers will be made within the plant, the pay rate inside the local facility, and work conditions like break rooms and air conditioning. It's expected to pass, but workers now find themselves in an ironic position.
We have been told by local management that we will be able to run through Friday of this week, and that was just made this morning. But possibility next week, unless the Canadian issue is settled, we could be affected by a part shortage.
Is there anything you can do about that, or is it out of your hands?
It's out of our hands.
Isn't it a little ironic, this election, in light of the fact that you might be out of work on Friday if the Canadian supplies don't come through?
Yeah, it is. It seems bad that you have to vote to go to work and then get knocked out of work, but they have to do what they have to do, and we have to do what we do. So we're trying, and they're trying, and hopefully we'll all come out okay on it.
I need a job. I want to see us keep working, and I don't want us to get laid off.
I voted no on the national myself. I agree with what the Canadians are out for.
Even if it means that you may not have a job next week?
I don't think we'll be out that long. It's only 36,000 jobs versus 350,000 in the United States. So they can't settle something on that. They've got a lot more problems than I think they do.
GM workers will be able to vote on the local contract until 5 o'clock tomorrow afternoon. Terry Cook, News 4.
By that I mean petitions were coming in slow. And of course some people are reluctant to sign the paper, you know, the petition, but for the most part I think they just really don't understand what it's all about. And well, once you go through the process of explaining to them that it's going to save the taxpayers money, it's going to possibly change the direction of the legislature.
The Democrats had a show of unity when their convention ended last July. It had been a long and sometimes bitter race for the nomination.
Unity is important to the party of the people, given both the national and state lead the Reagan-Bush ticket holds over Mondale Ferraro.
Jim Barrett is a close friend of Senator Gary Hart. He headed the Hart delegation in San Francisco.
Well, realistically, from Oklahoma, as an Oklahoman, the ticket doesn't look good here, and it's a very uphill battle. Certainly wouldn't have had a chance at all unless the Hart supporters had joined in with the Mondale supporters.
The night of the first presidential debate, Democrats across the country held neighborhood gatherings called America for Mondale Ferraro. The effort in Oklahoma was led by Hart and Glenn supporters. Oklahoma Democrats held more than 400 such meetings, most in the nation. Unity was apparent the day we stopped by Mondale Ferraro headquarters in Oklahoma City. The volunteers were Hart and Jackson people.
Is Mr. Virgin in? Oh, he is. I think the person who has their finger on the voting lever is going to have their finger on the nuclear button, and I am so frightened of Reagan's foreign policy and the deterioration in our relationship with Russia.
Law student Janelle Bird, a staunch Jackson person, is working for the Democratic team, though she says some other Jackson people are lukewarm to the ticket. And Don Allen is continuing his voter registration drive for the Democrats. But can the Jackson people rally the black vote? We heard more than one black this day declining to register, saying their vote wouldn't count.
Yeah, this year is the first time I'm hearing that response quite often, I guess because most of the people I register are traditionally Democrats, and with Reagan having such a huge lead, they feel that it won't do any good at all. And another thing I'm hearing is that since Jackson didn't get the nomination, they don't care to vote.
The Reagan-Bush team is way ahead here in Oklahoma and enjoys a comfortable lead nationwide. To be a winner, unity at the top must filter down to the rank and file. The Democrats don't need voter apathy within an important, perhaps critical bloc of minority voters. George Tomic, News 4.
From the indications I'm getting within the plant, they could have parts being brought in here as early as Friday of this week, and then next week it looks like we are going to be able to run.
Schools involved, students may be eligible to ride. Go by the number of students eligible. Together, we have 9 comprehensive high schools.
I mean, what are we going to do with these children? Something happens to them. Then, are we going to wait until something happens and then say, hey, we made a mistake? hey, we're going to correct it, it does not bring a life back. We cannot do this.
In many respects, the parent is going to have to assume more responsibility for getting the high school age student to school. We affected probably 3 or 4 of our schools, and we have 9 in the whole district. And in many cases, in fact, in the majority of the cases, we weren't providing the transportation for those students that lived within a mile and a half anyway, even before this year.
Oh, I got it. Thank you.
Back over your top.
Move back so we can get him up.
The wet conditions, when the walls caved in, it packed the earth. If it was a day that we had dry conditions, the soil would have been in a way we could have just scooped it out. The mud packed down on both of the occupants of the hole, creating some problems for us.
Charlotte. Oh, they're not? Okay. This is so pretty. I'll be the doorman. Thank you very much. You're welcome. Ooh, come on in. All right. Yeah, well, I didn't plan for you.
I want to take from the Republican victory because they've won a strong Republican victory for president. But I would say more nearly it's a victory personally for Reagan, and it's a victory personally for David Bourne. There are personal victories. There are not many strong party victories going on right now. People of America, people particularly of Oklahoma, are more independent.
following the collapse of a bank or the closing of a bank by FDIC, they conduct an investigation and an audit, and if they uncover any information of a criminal nature, they turn it over to us. We conduct the investigation and then present the facts to the United States Attorney's Office, and then they make a decision of whether to prosecute or not.
Anything to say, Greg?
Dr. Paul Jones also has been to Nicaragua, and a number of the unrest comes from, like you say, 400 years of political and economic. The United States is choosing to back off. Needs are met. In fact, see that the church is participating in the Nicaraguan that are being presented through the Contadora nations. That in Oklahoma, we're working in each congressional district to communicate with our representatives and senators to tell them that if such an invasion does occur, that we will nonviolently and peacefully occupy their office until that elected official chooses to either end the invasion or vote to stop the support of such an invasion.
My recommendation at this time would be not to change that. This will concern such things as succession, vacancies, budgets, and the definition of the word, the inability to serve. The purpose is to strengthen the governor's office for future chief executives to provide better executive management for state government, plus savings that could perhaps be brought about through consolidation of the budgets and the offices.
I think that most people tend to say, there's no role for me in this. What can I do to help? How can I make a difference? And in politics, that's all it is volunteers getting in and helping. They make all the difference in the world.
Two years ago, the Vietnam Memorial opened up amidst controversy. Critics said it remembered those who died, but forgot the millions more who survived the conflict. This weekend, that changed.
This Veterans Day is for the three fighting men, the new statue that stands guard over the names of those who never returned alive from Southeast Asia. For one Oklahoma City vet, it was a fitting and solemn occasion.
The statue is excellent. It's very detailed. It's the statue, the people in the statue are looking at the wall. It's like the guys you see in the field. It's like the guys I saw in the field. It's like somebody took a picture, which they may well have done, and just made a sculpture from it. It is a non-experience. I've looked at every, if you will, slab on the wall here. Some names I recognize, some names I do not. I'm looking for the names I don't recognize, and hoping that some of the people I served with in Vietnam aren't here, and thank God some of them are not.
More veterans were expected to show for the dedication of the Vietnam statue this weekend than showed up for the opening of the wall in 1982. One vet explained, the men listed on the black marble slabs are at rest. The statue is for the millions of vets who must endure the memories of America's most unpopular war. Bob Petrick, News 4, Washington.